Hey, hello, Carl Tasca Jr. here at Tasca Ford, Cranston, Rhode Island, with the chairman of the board, my grandfather, Bob Tasca Sr. Pop, just tell us a little bit about how you got started with Ford Motor Company.
Well, I guess we're going to go back to the beginning. I started at 7 years old, working with my uncle, who went to MIT on a scholarship, and worked for a Ford dealer, Harry Sandager, in Cranston, Rhode Island, during his off time and summers. When he graduated MIT, I was asked to replace him. My uncle got me to replace him, and I signed up with Ford, the dealership, May 5th, 1943, a little over 65 years ago. That's how I got started. Now, from there on in, I already knew a lot about the mechanics, but I learned more of it. And I got to a point where I started selling, and my claim to fame is my boss had 96 used trucks that were not saleable. I made him a good deal. I said, I'll fix the trucks up, my labor, your parts, and I'll be off the time clock so you won't have to pay me as long as I'm doing it. Well, I was pretty successful with it, because at the end of 9 months, I gave him $157,000, and I kept the other quarter, which I believe was somewhere around $57,000. And that was my first claim to fame on how I could make money selling something in the automobile business. I went from a salesman to a sales manager to a general manager in a period of 8 years. And I decided then I wanted my dealership. I wanted my own dealership. And I got my own dealership in November 17th, 1954. And that's the beginning of my, that's the beginning of my, as a Ford dealer. 1954, November 17th. From there on in, the name Tasca has sold over 500,000 cars and trucks for Ford, satisfied the overwhelming majority of customers. In fact, I got a couple of pins on me that say that we were the best in the world. And today, we have a dealership with 8 Tascas in it, and it's getting bigger and better. Hopefully, I'll be able to say someday that I wanted a dealership that will last at least 200 years. It's only been 65 so far, so we got a long way to go. But I got good people, their sons, grandsons, great-grandsons, one granddaughter, and it's so fortunate that my sons are smarter than they are, their sons are smarter than they are, and their sons are smarter than they are. So the four generations of Tascas, the little guy is only going to be 6 years old, but he's chairman of the board 2045. And that was my desire in life, to build a dealership second to none and turn it over to the family and let them hopefully get rich.
Can you just tell us, because obviously you're in the Drag Racing Hall of Fame, you have quite a history. Just tell us how you got started in drag racing, then how you got, and maybe what you've, some of the history.
Well, I got involved with racing because Chevrolet was just cleaning our clocks. They were beating us all over on the street and on the track, and it finally got to a point where I thought something ought to be done. So I went to my boss then, who was Ford Motor Company, and I suggested to Mr. Henry Ford II that I build some race cars to go after GM. One of them that was particularly interesting was a street boss that I built so that I could take care of the Chevys on the street or on the track if they were street condition. And I ran 97 races with street tires and closed exhaust, and I ran anything that would put street tires on, including a dragster. Never lost a race, won 97 of them, and today I found that I got a grandson that spent over $100,000 on a Mustang, and it doesn't go as fast as I did in 1970 to 1966. Okay? I don't know what I get. I never worried about gas mileage, but Henry Ford paid for the car. I made a deal with Henry. You pay for the car, and I'll pay for the losses. At about 50 races, he asked me how much I lost, and I said, I haven't lost yet. He said, what the hell? You got me to spend all that money, and you didn't. I said, Henry, I built it right. When you build something right, you don't lose. You win. Now, we built many, many race cars. My biggest thrill was testing them, so I knew what the car would do on every track. And that's what my nephew, my grandson, who's now racing, hasn't learned yet. He wins at night and loses in the daytime because he can't put the power to the ground when the track gets hot. Well, we learned how to do that by testing. I built several race cars. I think you got a list of all of them, so I don't have to tell you them.
Tell us about the Cobra Jet part.
The Cobra Jet, we started a Cobra Jet program. I wanted to call it something, and I called it Cobra Jet, and that was back in 1964. So 64 through 72, we built Cobra Jets. We built all kinds of Cobras. We got Shelby into Ford, and we did a lot of work with Shelby. I built this 5th, 6th, and 7th AC Bristol that he brought in from England in my shop. And Carol and I became very good friends, and we are still good friends today. And now today we're representing Shelby in our dealership in Cranston, Rhode Island, and doing very well.